All right. Looks like we're live here. Welcome, everyone, to another fireside chat. We have special guests, our team with EMP, AJ, and LA are with us, as well as Gannon. Tons of stuff to talk about. I know it's been forever since you heard my voice, but we are cooking with gas here. We got a lot of things to go over today. Um, AJ and LA have some things to share from their side, and we're going to cook through a good handful of all the updates. Feels good to finally be back. What do you think, AJ?
Yeah, bro, absolutely, Jake. I was just saying before while we were all backstage, I got the fire in my belly again, man. I'm super bullish on this. Obviously we've shown that we don't go anywhere. We're building always, and ever since we needed to roll this out, we've been thinking, what is the most bullish way to do it? We took the time, we didn't panic, we didn't rush, and here we are. And yeah, man, we're gonna go over the bonds today already almost 100K, over 100K, in which is amazing, and that's only gonna get better from here. So yeah, bro, super excited.
Yeah, very cool, man. I guess first of all, let me just say again. I know I've said it 100 times on the announcement and stuff, but honestly, guys, I can't thank you guys enough for all the support, both just mentally and with your words, and even with your pocketbooks as we've kind of rebooted everything. Remarkably, TVL is almost at pre-exploit levels. So we didn't, we're in a remarkably really good place right now. For everything that's happened, and like I said, it feels good to finally be back, having some bullish things to cover. I think today, obviously there's a lot to go over. Today we want to really focus on the two latest announcements, just the recovery fund, making sure everyone knows, um, you know, where they can check their dashboards, making sure you can, find your escrow accounts, claim the funds that have been dispersed, and know the process moving forward. And then also kind of get into the treasury bonds, which is going to be a really great way to expedite some of the payment there. And just a couple loose ends about kind of where we go from here. So, what do you think? Let's start with the bonds. Maybe that's a good place to start. Like AJ mentioned, I think we're all really bullish on this. It's funny. Let me share my screen here. It's funny. I know, at least in my community, people have been asking me to do something similar to this for a fairly long time. And you know, I guess now out of necessity, we're here. So we
This
come up with
says
a
that he's the mother invention, right? Yeah,
right. Yep,
totally.
absolutely. Um, oh shoot. I may have to relaunch here to share my screen. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
I don't know. I may be able to do it, Jake, if that helps.
let me see,
I don't know.
let me see if I can do this here.
We don't claim to be streaming experts.
Yeah.
Only DeFi, right? Yeah, there you go. Perfect. That
Oh my
works.
god. Okay. Yeah. I just had to update my settings. It asked me to quit and restart. But maybe we're working. Okay. Cool. So yeah, let's start with the bonds here. So where was I saying? Obviously I have a pretty experienced background as a pit trader on the floor of the Chicago Board of Trade. So honestly, I brought a lot of that to the products that we build. Right, that's kind of the whole reason. But that being said, I realize for some people, even just entering the vaults, you know, um, there is a certain level of skill that you need to be able to find entries and exits. You need to be able to allocate the right amount of funds to different types of plays, asset diversification, and then a lot of things that everyone struggles with, is like range selections and picking the right ranges and things like that. So again, I was always a little hesitant, but out of necessity, we've come up with this new system. I think it's actually really cool. It's simple to use. Really, anybody can invest. in the vaults with minimal expertise, and get the exposure to professional trading strategies. As you can see, there's already 92,000 in here. We just also to let you know, we put our money where our mouth is. AJ and I, this is actually our this account that we're looking at right here is actually our operations account. So you can see, we've already bought a bunch of bonds as well. So when we say trading, you're trading with our treasury, you're literally, we're literally trading this as it was our own money, which it is, partly anyway. So realistically, you'll be, when you put funds in, it's literally going to be traded as if it was our own, the exact same strategies that we use, with all the care and attention that it deserves.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. And let me step in real quick, Jake. So, when we say traded, we mean in the vault. So, again, this isn't like leverage trading or scalp trading, although that definitely plays a role in getting positions. The very short elevator pitch of what we have, and again, a lot of you are super familiar with this anyway, but it's essentially doing what we have done for the last 3 years with our own treasuries. And that's why we're calling them treasury bonds is because both, DexFi Treasury and EMP Treasury, before, we essentially merged anyway, we were utilizing these vaults to generate real yield through counter trade liquidity providing. And now, this is just the easy button for all that. So rather than having to know, what pools to get into, we'll go into more detail in a minute here. But that's like the really the higher level overview of just getting a position and actually owning part of the treasury, which we'll show you how the math breaks down. But that's really what you're doing. You're owning part of our treasuries, and in turn, earning from that, which is so cool because not only is that a way to yield for you as the individual, but it's also helpful to the vault TVL, to the profitability of our individual vaults. Like, there's just so many bonuses attached to it as we move forward with this. So,
yeah, that's a great interjection. I do say trade just because, I mean, technically it is, but you're right. Everything's in the vaults. Realistically, everyone knows that these are my babies. This product is my baby, and obviously I have a very intricate knowledge of how they work. But essentially we're trading in and out of vaults when it makes sense. And realistically, more realistically, it's more just picking good investments in the vaults and knowing when to move funds in and out, setting ranges and things like that. So yeah, great point. We're not using leverage or anything like that. But actually,
totally.
honestly, on that point though, that's another kind of side benefit of this whole program, right? Not only does this help the recovery efforts, it adds a whole nother dynamic, kind of like an easy button for people that want to be in the vaults, but just don't maybe want to manage it as intensely as we will. But also, every dollar that goes in the treasury bonds finds its way into a vault somewhere. So we're also increasing TVL, which actually in kind raises GDEX emissions and all those things too. So it's just kind of a win-win all around.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. That's a great overview. So again, I guess we can just kind of dive right in, Jake. I mean, it is on the surface, it's pretty simple. I mean, what is really bullish to me, and again, one of the reasons I'm getting the fire under my ass again, and we're gonna have some great videos coming out. We've already been in touch with some KOLs or influencers to help get the word out on this, but not only is it doing everything we just said, and this is a proven model that works, but we're also doing this in full transparency, and I think that is something that we've never seen, at least I've never seen in any protocol, where you're actually able to see where we're at. Yeah, you want to go through that and show the direct link? Go ahead, Jake. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So as AJ mentioned, basically everything is fully transparent. Let me see. I got to share this tab instead. Okay. So as you can see, yeah, this is actually everything. We're linked directly to the bank, so you can always come here and check, check the wallet balances, see the transactions, transaction history, right? Everything that's done for the Treasury bond program will be done out of this wallet, right? The funds, literally never leave the wallet. They're all always encapsulated here. Everything from like um, you'll see from deposits, right? These are deposits from the contract that come in, right? There's even we when a bond is redeemed. Let me find one of these. There's some mints. Here's like a redemption, right, where we pay out of this fund, right? So everything's done out here. You can always come check it out, see what we're doing. Of course, obviously, some of the secret sauce you can kind of see what we're investing in. Even you won't be able to see the actual kind of secret sauce of our range selection or entries and stuff. But like I said, full transparency. You can come in here and see exactly what we're doing. Let me switch back to this tab here. And one of the reasons why this is important is because of the bond price itself, right? You'll notice that this actually is a little higher than what was in DeBank. Part of that's because the DeBank API is a little slower, like it hasn't calculated some of our vault investments, which obviously we want the real number, so we go directly to the source. We obviously have all the bond, all the vault information from the app. So basically, when you're purchasing a bond, right? We can go ahead and just purchase a couple of these to show
Yeah,
you.
let's go through. Yeah, perfect segue. Go ahead. Yeah.
So you know, right now, so we've said that the starting price will be about 0.1 ETH, right? This is dynamic pricing, right? We want to make sure that anyone at any time can purchase a bond, right? But again, when you think about it, like we've said, what each bond represents a share in the pool, right? So how we get to this number, right, is the current fund value divided by the total number of NFTs in the fund right now, right? Which gives you, right now it's 0.1 ETH, right? So when we purchase, right, we can buy 1, we can buy 10, we can buy 100, right? It's going to be, this bond price times whatever you're doing, right? So, let's just say we want to buy 1 for now, keep it easy. And also notice this 10, we already have 10 bonds in there. When you mint one, this is going to be super simple for everyone. You go ahead and mint the bond. And when you do that, you'll notice, as soon as this transaction goes through, you'll notice the new bond that you just minted is automatically staked for you. Literally, that's all you need to do to get started. You just have ETH on base chain, select how many you want to do. Like I said, you can do. I think actually the maximum is 150 bonds right now, but that's just because of the transaction size. If you want to do more than that, you're welcome to. You just do a couple different transactions. But again, any amount of bonds that you buy, we can actually see on the bank, even those funds go directly into the EOA wallet, and your NFT, your share of the pool becomes staked. And then now what that does with the price, right? You'll notice the price hasn't changed, right? Because really all we did was, we added more fund value, right? But we also minted one more NFT, right? So now it's just this fund value divided by number of NFTs plus 1, right? That keeps the price always the same. However, the price of the NFTs can change based on the underlying assets, right? So what happens is, so now, and you can actually see there's a little tab down here for all your history, right? You can see the price I bought it for was 252.17, right? And actually, it looks like we lost 2 cents, right? Because the price of ETH went down a little bit, right? But that works the other way as well, right? So as we're making these investments in the vault, right? If overnight, let's say there's a big bull run and the price of our assets in the vault double, right? That's going to also double the price of an individual bond, right? Because new people coming in, right? They need to pay, basically match the fund or match one share of the fund, um, if that makes sense.
Yeah, bro, that was a great overview. I'll let you continue, but yeah, and this is something revolutionary. I mean, any other there are a few other again. I don't want to name names. I know there's a big one that I actually have a lot of respect for. The guys that run it are stand-up guys, but nobody that is providing concentrated liquidity farming like this is giving you the direct exposure to the price appreciation. And again, it does go both ways. So, if we see ETH get back below 2 grand, or we have a sell off in the market, it would be lower, which again would be a great time to DCA or buy bonds lower. But if it goes up, which again in all likelihood, I think we're going to see more likely a price appreciation by the end of the year and the incoming bull run. You're getting that on top of the yield that this produces every day. So it's really powerful, and you can kind of gamify your entries based on that price. So, very similar to how we have the multiplier bonus for Fusion or anything else, you're going to want to enter into, the bonds based on, if there is a dip in the overall market, or, you just compound your earnings and buy at any price. And then, a year from now, before the next bear market, we could see 2 to 3x. I mean, personally, my target on ETH is 8 to 10,000 bucks. So that alone would be a 3x more than that from here, 4 or 5x from here. So yeah, sorry, go ahead, Jake. I just wanted to kind of illustrate that a little more.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important to know that the pricing. I mean, that's why we have the pricing in ETH, right? Partially. It, it, it's not necessarily just based on the price of ETH because uh, essentially it's based on this price, the value of the assets in this price, and this is going to be a bunch of different vault investments. But I think that's a good benchmark, right? Is like if the overall market's up or down, might be a good time to get in. So we can keep dollar cost averaging in. Um, one kind of thing important to note here. You'll notice the price in bonds is always in ETH, right? The the profits that you claim are going to be in USDC, right? And we do that on purpose because you'll start to see all of once we start getting funds in and we start allocating those to different vault strategies. All the strategies we're using are going to be like private vaults, so we can always adjust and make quick and intricate decisions, adjustments on. But all of them are going to pay out in USDC from the vaults, right? So basically, what this means is we can go ahead and claim that USDC anytime, but that actually doesn't count towards the current fund value, right? Because those are already earmarked as profit, and essentially that allows us to make sure that any new money coming in, right? If you're buying in because you're buying in ETH, you're not necessarily paying for other people's profit. 100% of new deposits come in ETH, so that we can always separate those two and make sure that new money coming in goes directly towards principal value.
I love this point. And yeah, again, to elaborate, and again, this isn't throwing stones or insinuating anything, but a lot of other protocols like this, they use the price appreciation of the assets to then help pay out the APR. And so again, that works really well in a bull market, or when things are going up, but it works well until it doesn't. And then it is sort of a Ponzi. So with us, we've eliminated the Ponzi 100%. It's verifiable on chain, so you see the money, you can track it, by the penny. And yeah, to Jake's point, with the payouts, it has nothing to do with the overall AUM or overall value of the fund itself. And then you guys can just claim that USDC every epoch, and then use that to either go into other plays or pay the bills or buy more bonds. And that would be another way to kind of, compound into this as well. So,
Yeah, exactly. What was I going to say? Oh, one other thing to notice too, because this is obviously this is our initial kind of funding phase. You'll see here, this is where you claim the ETH. And right now there's a 9% APR. Essentially, that's just because we put a little bit of USDC in there just for testing purposes. But obviously now we have a ton of new deposits and not much profit, right? Because we've
Yeah,
only been,
yeah, because
we only
yeah,
have about
good.
10% of 10% in the vaults, and uh, you know we haven't actually got the profit yet, but over the next couple days, we'll start to fill up from from the actual take the profit from the vaults, and start filling that farm up. We expect to see that upwards of hopefully 200 to 300%. That's kind of our goal, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. You took the words out of my mouth. So again, APR is tricky because it's a lagging indicator, and we need the first week just to fund the vaults and get everything actually making money. But you should have a really clear picture of the APR after the first few days, and ultimately that also will fluctuate both ways, but hopefully more to the upside because again, as the bull market continues, that means more volume, which means more fees, which means higher earnings. So again, everything in this is 100% real and 100% transparent in the fact that we are, you're seeing the yield and the value in real time with no smoke and mirrors at all.
Yeah. So okay, so we covered about kind of rough high level overview. We got buying into the bonds. This actually acts like just a normal farm. We'll top it up on like a weekly epoch. But once we get going, like this will just be like every second it'll just fill up. You can claim right here. Of course you can always trade your USDC for ETH to bit more bonds, right? And then I guess the last thing we should probably cover here is the redemption process, right? And I think honestly, I think this is one of the most bullish aspects. I don't think I've ever seen any program like this that doesn't have any lockups. Usually anything like this,
100%.
yeah, usually anything like this is like a 6 month or a year lockup. And obviously, you guys all know that's not quite our style. We want to let people come in and out as they please. We know things come up. So realistically, if you're not happy with the investment, or you want to do something else with the funds, you can literally come here anytime. The only thing you have to do is just unstake your position, right? You can sell, you can redeem one or all of your bonds, right? So let's just say I wanted to redeem, maybe I want to just cash out a couple of them, right? You just unstake a few of your bonds here. Let's try this one more time. Oops.
Yeah, when in doubt, refresh. Yeah.
I have a couple already. So once you unstake, right, basically you just come down here to your redemption panel, and you actually see, you'll see your different, the different statuses, right? So let's just say I wanted to come in and redeem, 5 bonds, right? It'll tell me my redemption price per bond, the total amount that I'm going to be receiving as a whole, right? And basically what this is you'll notice this, it's basically the current value minus 10%, right? And we do this for a couple of reasons. Honestly, this is maybe one of the more bullish points. But this 10% difference, right? I mean, obviously it encourages people not to just jump in and out. And it also helps to protect against, like market manipulation, somebody trying to, some whale coming to push, one of the smaller markets around to somehow game it. But also it's really, at the end of the day, it's really an incentive for anyone who holds, right? Because, let's say I have 10,000 in here, or even this example, right? So let's say I want to cash out, $1,100 worth of bonds, right? Realistically, I'm getting 10% less than what's actually in the fund right now, right? And I might be 2x, so I don't even care. And I made, even, that's realistically, it's like about a month of profits anyway. But what it does is it's going to leave that extra $100 in the fund, in the pool. And when I do this, I'm essentially burning these 5 NFTs. And I'm leaving $100 in the pot. So that extra $100 now makes everyone else's NFTs more valuable. So realistically, the longer you hold, you're actually picking up more from anyone who got out before you, which is actually a really cool feature.
Yeah, I love that. Again, I know some other protocols, and again, I hate to keep comparing, but we've really, turned everything on its head. There are marketplace fees, but those marketplace fees go to the devs. We aren't taking anything from that 10%. It goes right back into the fund. And like Jake was saying, not only does it prevent manipulation, you do have to make that 10% back, and you may make it back in a day if the assets go up in value. If not, you just have to hold at least a month for that 10% to be made up in yield. But either way, it's like a way to reward users that are in and stay in, and we all share in that, and that really could grow. I mean, again, if people are jumping in and out, that 10% can add up, and is a forced appreciation of the overall fund itself.
Yeah, absolutely. It also makes the it's also like 10% more for everyone's profits, right? Like it's another
Yeah, in
10%
terms of yield.
going,
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
going towards yield. So everything should be boosted up. Now, again, this is going to give you, all your numbers right. Super easy to do. I don't want to do this because I've already done 2 examples. Um, but just real simple. You just, it's just a simple transaction. You approve it, right? And as soon as you do that, you're going to come down here and you'll see, the value, right? It's kind of snapshotted at the value, when you decided to exit, right? And you'll get a status of if they're accepted or not, right? So obviously, I did some tests here earlier. These are all accepted. I have 2 more that are pending, right? And within 24 hours, or I'm sorry, within 48 hours, we have an admin dash that we'll see requests come in, and literally we just we within that 48 hours, we find the best place to cash out your position from all the vaults we're in, which is also bullish too, because we can kind of pick and choose where where the best place is to kind of take those funds from, obviously all within the same wallet. And from our end, what we'll do is once we see the request, we just accept the request. We pay, we basically buy the bonds back out for 90% of its value. Again, we pay in ETH, so you put ETH in, you get ETH out. And as soon as we accept the request, the contracts handle it all, but the ETH is just automatically sent to your wallet address. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to check back in. It'll just automatically show up in your wallet.
Yeah, again, it's so bullish. No lockups. I don't know any other even remotely close option than that. So yeah, I think that was a great overview. I guess real quick, Jake, just touch on the staking of the NFTs, because we just they come staked, but just make sure that every NFT you have is staked, because you won't earn on them if they're not. The only reason to unstake is to cash out. And then are bonds transferable?
Yeah, so good questions. You'll see actually now. So even with my test, even with a little bit of test APR, I'm already earning on these 11 positions. I guess I would recommend just leave them staked until leave them. You can always leave them staked. Like once you buy, you just leave them staked until until you want to redeem. Yeah, I actually have a bunch that I unstaked earlier just to to test. You can always just come back in here and max out your staking. Um, you know, You just come in like I said, the NFTs are basically just like a normal farm, that you'd be in, right? So you can see as I just stake those back in, I just kind of crushed the APR, but stake unstake at will. And again, you can see that we're kind of putting our money where our mouth is. This is also our treasury fund that we're trading, investing. So we're right with you on these.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same thing we said all along. I mean, we have operation wallets that we use to pay for things without ever having to sell, our native tokens on any of our community. So that's what we've been doing for years. And now we're just opening this opportunity to everybody else. So it's a proven method. It works. Bear or bull, obviously in a bear, there may be a little less yield, but this works no matter what market conditions are. And yeah, I think that was really really great. Awesome. All right.
Yeah, just
Oh, and
just the last,
transferable. Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah. Go
last
ahead. Yeah.
question. So NFTs are not transferable. We've kind of done this on purpose just to make sure that there's no, um, you don't lose them or send them away on accident. Again, there's no like open marketplace for them. However, like I said, with the redemption process, um, there's really no need to transfer them. Um, technically, we do have we technically we like we have a whitelist for them. There may be some particular use cases where we may issue bonds for people, and we can transfer 'em for them directly to you. But as a general user, you don't want to transfer them. You just want to leave them there, keep them staked, and keep earning on them. In general, yeah.
Yeah, totally. And if for whatever reason we do that, again, this is all fully 100% collateralized. Money has to come in for any bonds to be, minted. And again, you can provably, prove that on chain. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, we'd have to basically mint, and then, yeah, we definitely have to mint and send. Yeah, and again, that's obviously why we have the transparency in the wallet, and you can see exactly where it's at. So, again, I just switched this the documentation too. If you have any questions, or want to come back and look at anything, we did a pretty good job of filling out all the docs pretty well here. You can go over all the things we just talked about: purchasing bonds, staking your bonds, redemptions, um, transparency management, that kind of thing. So,
Cool. Yeah, no, I think those are a great overview of the bonds themselves. I guess why don't we kind of transition into some of the escrow for those that were affected in the original exploit, and maybe some of the updated security features that we've done. And then if you are in any of the other outside groups, we're gonna do individual AMAs for those. So we're just keeping this to bonds today. So yeah, go ahead, Jake. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, obviously, the main reason why we're even launching these bonds. I mean, of course, the vaults and everything. Our core products is still the primary focus. But yeah, obviously, the reason why we're doing this is because we're trying to expedite the recovery efforts. And again, a portion of all the profits claimed will go towards that, which is again is really bullish. We think if we can bolster this TVL, I think we have a really good chance at paying the escrow off pretty quickly. Over the next few months here. But yeah, so that's obviously next on the list. We did issue escrow payments today. Again, you can find this in the main menu here under these three dots. This address does not have any. So they're basically any wallet that was affected, got their allocation of escrow US Dex. And really what this is it's just a one-to-one representation of what the value of your position was at the time of the exploit. So if you had $1,000 in the vault, you'll have $1,000 of escrow US Dex. you come here. We just actually paid out the first dispersal of $10,000 today, so you can go, and if you have, if you were affected, you can go there right now. Check your escrow section here. If you do have, if you have a position, you'll see your position here, how much you're owed in total, and then you'll have your USDC to claim. Again, as funds become available. So every Friday, I think we'll run the epochs. Essentially, every Friday we'll collect all of the money from the bonds. We'll collect all the. We also directed 20% of the vault revenue towards the escrow account as well. So we'll essentially collect all the funds, and then top up the escrow payments. These payments will be available to claim right away. It's not like a farm. We have to let them trickle out like the bond profits. So again, if you were affected, and you have, you're connected with the wallet that was, you had funds in the vault with, you'll see your position right here. You'll see available to claim. And what happens is every time we issue or disperse payments to the escrow accounts, you'll see your balance decrease here by exactly how much you're claiming here, right? So whenever we disperse payments, we send the USDC out, we burn your escrow to notate that, note that was paid, and we'll just continue to do this, until we're fully repaid.
Yeah, 100%. And again, if you were not in the vaults prior, you don't have to worry about anything that we just said for the last 5 minutes. Just go right into bonds or go into vaults by yourselves manually if you're comfortable with that. But yeah, this is a great way. And again, not financial advice, but if you do take at least a portion of what you're paid out through this escrow payment and put it back into bonds, that only speeds up the process. I mean, you're essentially paying yourself back as well. So again, not mandatory, and any yield that you get is not counted against what you're owed. So you're getting credit for everything. I'm just trying to speak on accelerating the timeline for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I think we're in a really good shape, between the revenue split and the new bond program. We should be really cooking with gas here.
Perfect. Yeah, and just to reiterate that, the vault fees, that are also split now going to this until it's paid back. So it is our number one priority. And honestly, again, I mean, it's bullish. Like a $10,000 payment today. Now that bonds are up and running, we can accelerate that. And there's very, very few protocols that even acknowledge, making people whole from something that was out of our control. But that just, we're a different breed here, and we've proven that just not with words, but with our actions. And so hopefully that resonates with all of you as well. And speaking of, the issues, do you want to just touch really quickly on some of the added security features? I mean, we're a fucking bulletproof fortress now. So yeah, go ahead, Jake. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, uh, obviously we did a complete top to bottom overhaul. Um, mm, the biggest thing was our the EOA wallet that handles some of the automation for the vaults. That was what was compromised. We want to put that on a multi-signature, so literally nothing can happen without multiple signatures. Which should be bulletproof for the moving forward. And just to triple check everything. I know we've mentioned this a couple of times, but we hired a firm called Zelic to do the initial audit. That report actually should be ready any day now. We've gotten the go ahead from them, so we felt comfortable with relaunching. We're just kind of waiting for the final paperwork, I guess. They basically just again went through all the contracts, the all the new the new upgrades to contracts, the multi signatures. We also had them do a like a operational security review outside of the contracts. Um, you know, it just the exploit was actually it was really advanced, and it was just kind of honestly came from nowhere. We we weren't really expecting our servers to be hit like that. So obviously we wanted another pair of eyes to go look at all of our procedures, and again, just dotting I's, crossing T's on that front. And again, this company that we chose this time actually prides, they take a lot of pride in not, in fact, right on their website it says, we're not a rubber stamp, which unfortunately, even what we found, even some of the best auditing firms, are just that, as a rubber stamp. But these guys actually come from a like kind of their own white hat background. In fact, they now own Code Farina, and that'll be the next thing on the list. Now that we have everything kind of deployed, all the contracts are verified, so it's all in the public realm now. We can actually go ahead and have our own little white hat competition to make sure, to literally have other white hat hackers try to break it and see what they come back with. Again, we feel really confident where we're at right now, but at this point, all the extra security and potential, just triple checks we can do, the better. And then on top of just the contracts and audits and things like that, we've also even locked down our internal security. Everything now is on. I spent like probably $3,000 on just like cold storage wallets. We got like the best of the best, cold storage and things like that. Honestly, I don't even know I don't even know the passphrases on on most of the stuff. You like need need my you need my biometrics and things like that to get through it. So, we feel about as tightly secured as possible at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. Just one more thing to add, not that it's an excuse by any means, because we've rebuilt from the ground up, but even in the original issue, none of the private vaults were affected, and so with bonds, it's majority private vaults anyway. So that's just one more thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we 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 hope and believe that everything is secured now. But yeah, just to add another layer, well, and also too because just for management, also for management, just because obviously with private vaults you can update, ranges and things like that. But 100% of the bond funds will be in private vaults for sure.
Cool. All right. No, that was perfect. All right. I mean, I think that's a really great overview. I know we have some questions, and LA and Gannon are here as well. LA was trying to put some links in the chat. I don't know if Gannon you were able to, but before we open it up to some questions, was there anything that either of you wanted us to go over a little bit more?
No, I feel like that was a really good overview so far. Yeah, if
Cool.
Gannon, if one of you or Jake can just throw up the link to the actual bond site and the docs, that would be great.
Yeah, we're simulcasting, so we don't have permission to put it in the chat. But if you are in the chat, feel free to ask some questions. We can kind of go through them as we go here. But before we did that, Ellie, was there a few that we had from the community beforehand as well? Yeah.
There is, but I feel like we can do the bond specific ones and then move to those after because they were
Okay,
more
perfect.
specific to other parts of the EMP ecosystem.
Oh, all right, awesome. So yeah, go ahead, Gannon. I don't know if you were going through the comments if you want to pull them up. I saw one from Crypto Pride. Shout out to Crypto Pride. He asked about the epochs. So yeah, I'll answer, but then Jake, if you want to elaborate, the actual epochs for the escrow payments are every Friday. And even though we technically feed the bond um, contracts in an epoch, that drips out over time, right, Jake? So you really won't see a big spike in payments for the bonds.
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep it to weekly epochs. Although again, we do have some flexibility. The couple reasons why we went with this system. One, because um, as a fluid, that's kind of fluid, where anytime people can come in or out, right? So like if there was if there was a new deposit or something like that, a larger deposit, we could update that um, to get those new funds working and flip the epoch quicker. But also, it's just nice. Other programs is like I've seen you have to you get paid once a month or things like that. This just keeps it flexible and fluid so that you're always getting funds. But yeah, the APR should, once we get past this funding week, APR should remain fairly consistent. I mean, obviously, it fluctuates with the market, right? With more volume, it's going to be, more fees. We've also noticed too, like the weekends are usually slower than the weekdays, right? So, doing it this way on like a weekly epoch kind of keeps your APR nice and steady throughout the week, as opposed to getting more on certain days than others. It just seems like a nice, easy way to do it.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Yeah. I don't know. We can go through them all then. That was the only one that came to mind. I did see one again while you were looking, Gannon, and pulling them up. Somebody said we should make the NFTs transferable. Again, that was a conscious decision for a few reasons. Number one, it doesn't allow any gamification, meaning you can get around selling or redeeming that through the redemption phase by selling peer to peer. There's a lot of risk in that. And we didn't want to have we wanted to have people have guaranteed liquidity, because what happens is if we did a marketplace, yeah, people could sell, but that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's going to buy. And sometimes those NFTs sit on the marketplace for a really really long time. So this is again guaranteed liquidity. Yes, you're taking a 10% hit, but you're getting paid within 48 hours. So that we felt was a much better compromise. But yeah, I don't know. That's my thought process. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, Jake. We went back and forth for a while on that. So
No, I mean that's the long and short of it. Really, there's just no real reason. I don't know if you gave me a good reason why they should be transferable. I might, maybe. I personally don't think, other than a separate peer-to-peer marketplace, which we're not trying to encourage anyway. I don't think there's a real good reason for that, to be honest.
It also protects user wallet being attacked. It's a good thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
exactly. I mean, honestly, once you start moving them around, then like who knows? There could be we just the whole point of this is to be the easy button. So you invest, you get a share in the treasury. You want out, you lose your share in the treasury. It's simple as that. I'll bring this one up real quick again. Silverback asked if we had looked into a dead man switch. This is actually something we've been looking at. There's a couple of companies that do something similar. It's we're looking at the details of them. In theory, it definitely could be something we're looking to bring on. Essentially, what this means is if there was irregular behavior, it would essentially shut down deposits or transfer funds to a multi-sig or something like that. So it's definitely something we're looking at and reviewing. I think once again, our biggest thing was just trying to make sure we plugged the holes and got to where we are now. We're definitely going to start looking into additional measures, as we go, and move from there. Also, insurance. We've been in discussions with the insurance, some of the crypto insurance companies. unfortunately, we need to get our TVL back up in order to do that. Also, potentially the case with this as well. Typically they want a certain level of TVL, but I think we can get it back there pretty quickly.
Cool. All right. Yeah. And I think we're coming to the end in terms of questions. I did want to shout out Grover. I think it's his birthday today, too. So shout out to you, Grover. I think I saw that in the chat. But he asked basically, I'll just paraphrase are we doing any compounding strategies with some of the vaults just to protect capital, Jake, or is it all 100% profits?
Yeah, actually, I was gonna discuss this. So our typical strategy for for any bonds or any of our treasury positions is like a 75% profit, 25% compound strategy. This makes sure that we're not losing. We're not eroding our principal. When they rebalance or things like that. We want these to be as attractive as possible. So again, we want to make sure that most of the profits are going directly back to NFT holders. But again, what's really nice about this is that you're also getting the principal as well, right? So we've said that the split for now will be 50-50. And even on the vault it's 75-25, right? But again, we have kind of some flexibility in that, if we're collecting all of the, all of this USDC, right? And, an opportunity comes up, we want to make take some from profit and invest in another vault. We have a little flexibility to say, okay, well, let's do that. Now's the time. We can convert that, that USDC to, ETH and deposit in the vaults. And that just raises the value of the NFTs. So either way, the whole NFT holders are still getting, 100% of the value from that.
Yeah, no doubt. And another just aside to that is, obviously with the split on compounding, that is just so you don't have to do it manually, and you protect some of the capital if there is a dip. But in theory, that's going to be happening anyway when people claim their rewards and then go buy bonds again, because we'll then be able to allocate, that fresh capital to the vaults that maybe are on a dip or whatever. So again, even though it's not automated in the strategies themselves, because we have an open window for deposits indefinitely, then it's almost even better this way. So does that make sense, Jake? I don't know if I explained
Yeah,
that
no,
well.
that's a really great point. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Because literally the deposit window's open indefinitely, right? So literally, anytime a new deposit comes in, we can allocate that, however we like. I guess also too, just so everyone's aware, on the flip side, right? Like, again, we're managing this, like it's our own, right? So you'll see even right now, we have 30K in USDT right now that, is awaiting, deposits, right? Just because the money comes in doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be put to work, right away. The way that we have these numbers calculated is like essentially everything in the wallet itself, all the vault deposits, right? Get added up, and then just the USDC is subtracted, right? So we can still hold stables and wait for good entry on something, right? So if we don't think it's a good time in the market, you can still, we can still accept the ETH and we'll just convert it to USDT, to wait for entry on, the next big thing. And honestly, that's a great thing because, we're well diversified. I mean, one of the points I think we maybe touched on earlier, but maybe didn't expand on it enough is just this diversification, right? If you, if you have, $1,000, you don't necessarily want to have $100 in 10 different vaults, right? Because, you're paying the gas fees and spreading your money out pretty thin. Whereas, you can buy $1,000 in bonds, and what that gets you is a fractional position on, maybe 100 different 100 different assets that are curated specifically for that. Some in stables, some in blue chips, some in alts, things like that. So you're really getting the full spectrum of the treasury.
Yeah, no doubt. Great point. Again, the diversification is a big bonus, rather than doing this on your own, because, although we made vaults as easy as humanly possible, you still have to have some DeFi knowledge and, be able to keep track. You can't just, go away for a month and hope that, well, I guess you could, but it's a little more risky to do that. With this, it's a lot more spread out. So yeah. And again, God forbid one of the tokens goes down, you have, 30 other vaults to save you from that. So
I just want to bring up one I think this was from latest. I think this was in response to my question about why we don't have NFTs transferable. Look, I understand that most crypto is decentralized, and if there's a problem with your wallet, you obviously want to be able to transfer those out. However, this specific aspect is not necessarily like a decentralized crypto platform, right? This is like an investment opportunity where the treasury is investing on your behalf. So it's just there's a manual aspect. It's not fully decentralized. But I will say this: if you do have an issue with your wallet and you want to move it around or something happens, right? When this is also one of the safeguards, right? Like even if your wallet was hacked or there was some kind of manipulation, right? Whoever has control of your wallet now is going to have to do this, and they're going to have to wait for me to accept it, right? So if there's ever an issue, you could just contact us directly, say, hey, this wallet is compromised. We'll figure out a way to verify that, and we'll just blacklist those or burn those NFTs and reissue them to a new wallet. So we having those fail safes is also a benefit, I think.
yeah, no doubt. And again, if you want to have that full control, then you can just go and do a vault yourself. I mean, that's the other option. This is the easy button for people that are not as skilled as maybe latest is. So
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Or don't want the headache. I know. I could manage the vaults on my own, but I just want the easy button, Jake. I'm going into this too, man. Yeah, we again, like, this is just such an amazing conglomeration of what we've been building all these years, just being as simple and straightforward as it can be. So all right, cool. And then I did see one more. I don't know if you're going to answer this though. Again, just from a security aspect. But are we going to disclose who's on the multi-sig or not? I mean, obviously, we're trying to keep things as safe as we can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a. I mean, I'm happy to share the addresses. I mean, that's the whole point. The multi-sigs are made for protection, right? The core multi-sig is one on the development team, one myself, and one our CTO, right? So all of them are on cold storage wallets again, and multiple signatures need to be placed to get done. So at least we have some solid protection in that case.
Cool. Yep, totally. All right, awesome. Yeah, I think that is everything specific to DexFi. Again, I did just want to take a little bit of time to answer a few protocol specific questions. One of them is about DexSwap to Jake, so maybe we can show that as well. But yeah, anything else, LA or Gannon, or LA, if you have ones you want to go into?
Yeah, no, the ones I have, you guys have on your notes, so we can hop into those if we're ready for that now.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, they have been answered also.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Yan. And yeah, anybody else in the chat while we wrap this up, feel free. So, all right. So again, the first question we kind of touched on this already, but do we have the audit yet showing what happened? We kind of touched on that, and uh, Jake, just to reiterate, the full we've gotten the green light, but the full written report should be soon, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We like I said, we got the green light. Just waiting for the final, the final piece. Honestly, the this one took a little longer than we're used to because we had this whole like there's a lot of back and forth with the like operational security, reviewing like Web 2 kind of stuff, our server processes and things like that. So, but yeah, the whole report will be out soon, and we'll link it. We'll link it right to DexFi here. In fact, we already added a section down here for the Zellic report. And as soon as we get the Zellic report, we'll be launching the Code Farina competition as well.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome, man. All right. And then, yeah, so somebody was asking why PEG matters for EMP and how to buy it. So I'll go ahead and show you how to buy it first. We do have most of our liquidity for EMP and eShare on DexSwap. And Jake, if you just want to show that really quick, you do have to use that native asset though. So in other words, we because our liquidity is still pretty thin and we're trying to get the vault up and everything else before we go back into DexSwap and those updates. You need to go direct asset, meaning all the liquidity right now with EMP is ETH, and eShare is BNB. So I'm even confusing Jake here, but yeah. Just make sure you're doing a direct swap, and then you can go in and out that way. So that's how you're gonna buy eShare and EMP. Again, yeah, ETH to EMP. And then eventually, when we have a little more liquidity, we can enable routing through any assets. But we just don't want people to get hit too hard with impermanent loss. And we are updating. I know I saw a report today. I don't know if you saw that yet, Jake, but there was some UI discrepancies too on the price feeds. So we'll work on that as well. But it is working. You are getting market value, even though sometimes the UI shows a different price of ETH or BNB. So cool.
Yes,
Cool.
I just want to reiterate that in the simplest terms. So you'll go to Dex Finance or DexFi.com. You will go to the trade tab. And if you're looking to buy EMP, you'll have to buy it with ETH on BNB chain, and you'll choose swap from ETH to EMP, and you put in the amount and it'll show you how much you're going to receive. And then if you're looking to buy eShare, you're going to choose BNB that you're using to purchase eShare. Same thing when you're selling, however, in reverse, obviously. It's that simple. Make sure you've approved the contract if it's your first time using it, and you can use it to swap. The majority of the liquidity is here on Dex Finance. So if you're using PancakeSwap, you may have a large fee or price impact. So make sure you're using DexFi to do any of your purchasing for EMP or eShare.
Perfect.
I actually got one quick note too here. Someone asked me somewhere recently about the approvals on DexSwap. This is all using some of like the latest like V4 kind of tech. So basically, when you get to your first approval, when your wallet will pop up, it's only approving for whatever you put right here, right? Like if you want to buy one BNB worth, it'll approve for literally $627, $672. If you don't want to do that every time, you can just write in where it says the approval amount. Instead of like one BNB, you can put 10 BNB or 100 BNB. And it'll just keep using those approvals. It'll use that same approval until you sell through or buy through 10 or 100 BNB. If you're okay with it, you just approve every time. It'll be the exact amount for each purchase.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. And yeah, thanks for the reminder. Grover. I mean, we have a bunch of bot protection in place on DexSwap too, and DexSwap will be getting a lot more love after we get the reboot fully underway. So just keep in touch for all that. LA did also mention a really good thing. If you're looking to actually buy BNB or ETH on Binance or BSC or BNB chain, you're still probably better off to go to one of the aggregators or PancakeSwap just to buy BNB or ETH, just because there isn't a ton of liquidity for those assets on DexSwap. But if you're going into eShare or EMP, then you have to do it on DexSwap. Really, there's very thin liquidity everywhere else. So cool.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that you mentioned that DexFi will be getting some love. Obviously, everything got pushed back a little bit, and we've said it. We're really just trying to focus on the core products, but which obviously is the vaults primarily, and most of the other just little side things we're trying to avoid. But we did spend a lot of time getting DexSwap up and running, and it's just too pretty to turn to leave off. We need some
Yeah.
more tabs here. So
Totally. Well, and
we're-
yeah, and that,
we're working. Yeah.
it never fails to in the comments. Yeah, that love applies to Cedo and Spark. So again, if you were involved in Cedo swap or Spark swap, the plan is what it always has been, is that we'll be migrating those positions in terms of value into DexSwap, and then everything will be under one roof. We probably won't support Manta network as a whole, just because it's pretty dead, but you will still get credit. And we are planning on supporting, yeah, right there, our base and pulse. And speaking of that too, it would be a miss without mentioning GDEX. So can we get a quick update on that too, Jake?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So obviously the main focus was just to get get everything back up and running. But we're feeling really good about where things are at now. You'll notice we did bring the GDEX staking back, the page back. Don't go try to stake right now. This is not live yet, so nothing to do quite yet. We did add Arbitrum back to the bridge here though. So within the next I mentioned in the chat earlier today, but really all the hard stuff's done, man. The security, the reboot, the bonds, the escrow, like all this stuff was like a lot of work. The single staking contract we just kind of saved to the end because primarily because we needed to kind of fill the coffers again before we could before we were able to add emissions back to single staking GDEX. But again, now that everything's done for the most part, the next thing on our list is the GDEX, the GDEX single staking. So if you haven't already, now's a good time to do that. Make sure you if you have, well, I guess here, let's start here. If you haven't, well, I guess the same. This is the legacy site, right? If you haven't yet, in fact, let me show this link again. If you haven't removed from the old vaults, right? You go to this legacy link down here, right? It's going to look exactly the same, but this is where all the old vaults are at, right? So whether you have GDEX in the vault still there, or GDEX in single staking, or honestly, if you have any vaults from any other chains, Pulse or any Manta or Arbitrum, we really like to get people out of those vaults as quickly as possible, especially now that you can move them into the new vaults. At some point, we'll be shutting this down completely. So the sooner the better we can move that off. Right now, it's just costing us money keeping up the backup servers running. But you go to Legacy, go to the My Vaults tab and remove your assets. Again, same for the single staking. If you still have funds in the GDEX single staking, remove them there, and just come over here. You're going to want to go from Arbitrum to base, right? just hit max. You'll see once you withdraw from the farms, the vaults, you'll see here, just click max, and send it to base, right? And then once you have your tokens on base, the best part is you'll see them on the bank. That's where all the liquidity is at now. And within the next couple of days, we'll reinstate the single staking GDEX. We'll add the single staking to the vaults, and we get back to business.
Yeah, super bullish. Again, I mean, obviously we want everything to happen all at once, but there has to be a specific order in the reboot, and we have to have the vaults earning to be able to, support the native assets. So that's where we are. And I had a bullish comment too in the chat about the bridge. Obviously, bridging native assets is not what they were meaning. They said they want the pulse bridge back. So yeah, I mean, obviously that also has to do with, having liquidity, making sure that with DexSwap we have enough liquidity on both sides of the chain rather than having to go through Pancake, and paying more fees. So the short answer is it's definitely on our radar, but we really just need to get DexSwap up and running again, build liquidity there, and then we can start re-adding, the fun stuff, the bridge, perps, stuff like that, right, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, the core focus right now is vaults and just getting the ecosystem back up and running. Honestly, TVL and the vaults is our main priority. With more TVL, we have more operational cash flow. We have more money that can go to GDEX staking, fusion payouts,
For sure.
everything else. So that's really the focus. And honestly, I'm like, I'm not shocked, but I'm just happy that we've already clawed back like a fair amount of the TVL we had lost initially. The money is definitely flowing again. So we're in a real good spot to start at least paying things out. Actually, speaking of which, on that note, that one of the next things we'll be relaunching is the DAO page. That's kind of in conjunction with the GDEX staking and some of the protocol revenue. Again, it was kind of a lower priority because we wanted we needed to have people were more concerned about getting paid back in their escrow, and we needed to have bonds and stuff so we can get that money paid back, and we needed to have DVL and vaults up so all that would work. But now that all that's in, like I said, the next few days we'll be updating the DAO page to reflect real-time revenue again, and the GDEX staking based on those numbers.
Killer. That's bullish. All right, and I have a little alpha too at the very end. We got to wrap it up here because we have another. I have another AMA. I don't know if Jake and Gannon want to continue, but we had to cover HVM at 8:30 Eastern. But one thing I forgot to mention again, shout out again to Grover and John. We also are maybe looking into some sort of incentive program for bonds. So again, because it's real yield, we didn't want to incorporate any kind of a referral fee. It gets kind of messy with that, and we don't want to be taking yield away. But we may be putting up some EMP, some eShare, and some GDEX for some of the top stakers or top bond increases each week. So just like we have our leaderboards in the EMP ecosystem, we're looking into maybe gamifying that a little bit with the leaderboard system for bonds. So that's also some bullish things to look forward to for sure.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
get it, no doubt, bro. Well, and again, hopefully Grover and John are here. Surprise, Grover and John.
Mhm.
That's what we're doing. So yeah. Oh, I meant to give them a heads up before we got on, but yeah. All right, cool.
Happy birthday, by the way, Grover.
Yeah, Grover's a long time member of both communities and been really helping out on some front end stuff for sure. So, all right, cool. And then we did just have two new rapid fire. In terms of new projects, yeah, anything new we can talk about on the next AMA. That's all under my stuff. In terms of what we're doing, the 100% focus is vaults and bonds. So keep an eye out for updates with other in regards to that. And then somebody else said something in LA about why does PEG matter for EMP?
Yes.
That's a long discussion, but the overall the elevator pitch for that is it determines fair market value. So because we have PEG at 4,000 to 1 EMP, and because that affects the bonus multiplier, we have to have that ratio maintained. We can't just pick a new arbitrary number for PEG, even if it's good for the optics. It really messes up everybody's fair market value of EMP. So I'm happy to go into that more on the next AMA, but I just don't want to be accused of not answering questions.
Yeah,
So
and there's
yeah.
a lot of other bullish bullet points we can give in that regard. So we'll definitely answer that question entirely again next week on our EMP specific AMA.
Perfect. Yes. And the short answer is we are keeping PEG. So don't think that we're just getting rid of it because it's the easy thing to do. So all right, awesome. Then yeah, man. Again, we had some deposits while we were on stream.
Yeah.
I
Love it.
think Jake, right, or
Yeah.
Ether's going up, one or the other. And yeah, I think once people really see the power of this, again, similar protocols have gotten 15 to 20 million dollars in TVL. I mean, if we even get half of that, and we have a better product. It's 100% transparent. It's arguably a better yield than a fixed rate because of that price appreciation, and you can get in and out at any time. So I don't know what more we could want. I know, like I said, I'm aping personally for sure. So.
I heard AJ's even getting back on the AMA train for this one.
I am, bro. Some more alpha. We again, all of you been asking for some more marketing. We have two more AMAs I just scheduled today. LA is gonna help me book a few more, and yeah, we'll be talking about treasury bonds publicly over the next week or two. And obviously, the goal with all this is getting more TVL into the vault because then we all win. So yeah, man, really really excited. I'm it was a little rough there for a while, in terms of just stress and what we had to do was. But now I know the entire team. I'll speak for Jake, LA, and Gannon. We're fired up again for sure.
Yeah, man. I honestly, I mean, as much as it hurt, I feel like we all deserve a little pat on the back for bouncing back so quickly. And I know, honestly, I know personally that just my overall stress levels and mental health, I guess, is in a much better spot now that we're back in action. And honestly, with everything being streamlined and having kind of maybe we're doing a little bit too much across the board without being a master of one thing. So where we're at now is a good spot for, I think, for everyone. Even the workload for the dev team, with having to cut back a little bit, that also saves us money in the future, in the long run. We can put towards good things. So all things are green right now.
Yep, absolutely, Jake. And we've proven that. Again, we say it all the time. Actions speak louder than words. We're not going anywhere. We're not giving up. Any of the things that we have supported. Again, I know we can do a whole nother fireside chat. About GIA and some other initiatives. That's not disappeared. We just have to put the focus right now on vaults and again, pushing these treasury bonds as a best in class option for people that want to have liquidity providing yield but not want to do it themselves. And by scaling treasury bonds, it's basically pumping our own bags within the ecosystem for, like you said, fusion payouts, GDEX staking rewards and ultimately more fees that feed this ecosystem. So yeah, I'm again super duper bullish.
Yeah, feeling good about it.
Cool. All right.
Well, appreciate everyone coming by. I think it's a good place to stop. We'll be back on again. More announcements coming out soon. Again, we have audit reports coming out. We have additional reports from Intelligence on Chain and more vaults, more chains, more things like that. So appreciate all you guys, and we'll see you around the bend.
Cheers, everyone.
Catch you later.